Welcome. This is the Racing Insiders. I'm Bill Wood. I'm in Los Angeles. I'm your host. We are all over the country. We've got Jim Daniels in Memphis, Tennessee, and Peter Keene in Florida. Where are you at in Florida, Peter?
Cocoa Beach, God's country, Cocoa Beach, Florida.
And what's it like in Memphis? I hear Memphis has got great barbecue, obviously, and great music, Jim.
Great barbecue, the blues, and you can see Elvis's mansion. What else can you ask for?
The Racing Insiders. There you have it. We love blues and barbecue. What more could you ask for from three guys spread out all over the country? We're going to have 5 topics today that you're going to love, starting with the sports car merger. What are the top cars? What should they be? The fastest cars in the sports car merger. And what's going to happen to some of those driver jobs? There's going to be fewer seats available. So what's going to happen to those driver jobs? We've got Rob Kreider, an insider at NASA, National Autosport Association, who is going to tell us about the 25-hour from Thunderhill. It started off as a sportsman race. It's become one of the big professional have-to-dos in American racing. We've got this rallycross thing. What the heck is rallycross? And why did a series that lost nearly $1 million in its first year, why is everybody standing in line and taking numbers to be a part of it? And at the end of the show, are you kidding me? You're going to hear what we think about anything. Here we go. We're Jim in Memphis and Peter in Cocoa Beach, Florida. Our first topic, what's the merger, the sports car merger between the ALMS and Grand Am? What's the top class? What should it be? Peter, what do you think should be the fast guys, the headline guys in this new merger?
Well, you know, I think I'm biased, so I'm definitely going to be a Daytona prototype guy as the top class, especially in the U.S. Now, what I'm feeling is maybe they have a faster class for the 24 Hours of Le Mans or something, but I think here it's the DP car all the way. I mean, that's just my, you know, I've heard 2 GT classes and the Daytona prototypes.
What do you think on that, Jim?
Well, look. Peter and I are 2 old dogs. I think, you know, my theme might be in this show is we probably should poll 1,000 Formula Drift fans and say, hey, what do you think we need to be racing over here in our kind of sport? It's going to wind up being whoever brings the most money to make their engine package or a car package win. If we were smart, we would figure out why all these other sanctioning bodies like Rallycross and Formula Drift are so popular with the people watching. It's easy to decide what's popular with people driving. What's popular with people watching. And I don't think that's going to happen. But so I think it's going to be a combination of some kind of closed cockpit car. And you got to think NASCAR is going to dominate.
That's a good point, Jim. We need to have something fresh, something new. And I tend to lean towards the P2 cars. They've proved to be faster in the tests. I know you don't like that, Peter, but that's the truth. And I would like to see something involved there. And I think some manufacturers could make a lot out of that P2 car, more than the DP car.
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, I think that silhouette of our Corvette is pretty sexy. So I don't know. You know, there's you know, a lot of brand recognition there, but I got to tell you, you know, it was only like a second and a half was the difference at the test, and you know, I was there. The P2 car was slow as death out on the outside, and it was fast in the infield. I mean, I think that's easily
I don't know,
fit.
Peter. A second and a half, Peter. A second and a half over 2.5 hours puts you a minute and a half lap. That puts you a long way down.
Look, second and a half. If we're talking about fans want to see something that is exciting. We're going to talk about tech later.
I agree.
If that motor that's in that car is not something that they can drive every day, they're not going to come watch it. We're having a consolidation because both classes outside of each other are crippled. What are we going to do not to cripple them? We've got to take care of the fan.
That's right. You guys are right. We'll have to wait and see what happens with this merger, but somehow a manufacturer is going to be involved in whatever that new class is going to be. Let's go on to the driver jobs. The driver jobs are going to go away. There's fewer jobs available. What's going to happen with these driver jobs?
It's gonna just, you know, reduce the double dipping is all it's gonna do. You know, they're gonna have a single job, and it's not gonna have the scheduling conflicts that they had. Some of them had, you know, the real good ones.
Well, every driver that has a sugar daddy and don't have his own money, his own marketing skills, he's gone. I don't care how good he is. If you cannot have a co-driver that's been writing a check and we got a smaller pool, you're gone. You're not driving anymore, and I don't care what your name is.
What about the ability to win, Jim? Don't you have to have the ability to win?
Look, if you play golf with 20 D players, somebody's going to win. Okay, and the 20 D players got to be able to write the greens fee. So you're going to wind up. You're not going to wind up with the best karting kids. You're not going to wind up with the best racers. You're winding up with a group that's going to be super elite, talented drivers in the rest of the field. And that's
I don't know if I agree with that, Pete. What do you think about Peter?
Well, I think that there's still going to be somebody that writes the check. So I understand where Jim's going. The factory teams will have the studs, and then I think there still will be rich guys out there that'll, Emil Asentato, where's he going to go? He's a heck of a GT driver. He's going to keep his seat. So
let's face it. Drivers don't. The cars are so safe. Drivers don't die every day. So if you're a great driver and you happen to be funded by a manufacturer, the kids have no place to go because you don't just quit your job so some kid who's more talented than you can have a ride.
Is seat buying still going to be an issue in this new reoriented merger?
I believe so.
I believe so too. I agree with Peter.
That's kind of, I don't know if I agree with seat buying. I know it's necessary nowadays for some of the lesser funded teams, but we see what happens in stock car racing with the teams that start and park. We don't want to have that in sports car racing. Coming up right after this, we've got Rob Kreider, who's going to tell us about NASA, the National Autosport Association, the 25-hour, the longest endurance race in North America. We'll be right back right after this. Welcome back. We're going to look at a little video from Thunderhill, the NASA 25-hour race. It's started off as a sportsman race, but it's become one of the things to do if you're in the world of motor racing. A lot of professionals go to this race to get ready for the Rolex 24 that comes up in January. We've got Rob Kreider from NASA, an expert at this race. In fact, he's such an expert, he finished on the podium this year with his race team. Rob, welcome. Do you like having pros show up and kind of take some of your spotlight in the race?
Absolutely. It's a fantastic event. I love the fact the pros are there. All year long we kind of wonder, how good are we? And the 25 hours is an opportunity for us to go toe-to-toe with the pros. I mean, I love being on the track with Simon Pagenaud. I love being on the track with factory Porsche drivers. You get to see how they run, and you get to see how their pit crews run, how their team management runs, and it gives us an opportunity really to have kind of a litmus test for our team to say, hey, how can we be better? And sometimes we even find out, you know what? We are better than these guys. They just have more money.
Did you plan on the thing becoming a place for pros, or does that disappoint you that sportsmen don't have a chance to win all these classes?
No, it's actually not true. There are 6 classes in the event, from ESR down to E3, everything from prototypes down to spec Miatas. And so that's a large field, and it gives everybody an opportunity to really run at their level. And so the E3 guys are running, head-to-head as hard as they can against some factory efforts, like Fiat had a car out there, and Mazda brings their cars with Robert Davis Racing.
In fact, wait a minute. I'm cutting you off, Rob. You beat the factory team. Didn't you win, overcome Robert Davis Racing? Toot your horn a little bit there, partner.
All right, well, let me see what I got here. Right here, I'm holding up my clock here from the 25-hour. This is the trophy that you get for getting on the podium in the 25 hours, so I'm very proud of this. But yes, Robert Davis Racing is a great effort, and the RX-8s run good, but the fact of the matter is it's a long race, and yes, we did take them down. They got 4th, we got 3rd, and we were the one team ahead of him from walking away with some hardware, and unfortunately this year Robert Davis walked away empty-handed. So that's a feather in our cap, with Toyo Tires and Nissan. We feel pretty good that we're able to get it done.
Yeah, I was going to say the event's great. I actually have 5 of those clocks, Rob, and 3 of them with Robert Davis. Every year that I've been there, other than this year, I've been with Robert and his team. So it's been great. Here's the beauty about that from an insider's perspective. We would have no Playboy MX-5 Cup Series if we didn't have a 25-hour race. 2005, Mazda says we got to take these pre-production MX-5s to that track, run the race, develop our suspension kit. Charles Espinab, Ken Dobson, myself, Jeremy Barnes, other pro drivers, we were there. We tested those cars. I won the 2006 Playboy Cup, I think, because of the 25 hours of seat time I had in that car in 2005. It's a great race.
Well, and I mean, honestly, I haven't had a chance to run the 25-hour. It's always been on my bucket list, and I mean, I hope someday I'll get out there and mix it up with you guys. Maybe Popes will give me a call sometime.
So what's the plans for the future, Rob? You're part of the insiders. Give us some inside information on what's going on the NASA 25-hour next year and beyond.
Well, it was a huge success. This was the 10th anniversary of the NASA 25-hour. A lot of us got the patch for the 10th anniversary. Very exciting. The race gets bigger and bigger every year. We get more and more heavy hitters that come out every year. So there's no question in my mind this thing's going to go farther and farther in the future. We get bigger names every year, and so the future's bright. We're going to go forward, and we're going to run it again. This year we had John Morton actually ran the race, and my team stole the paint job from his 1972 2.5-liter Trans Am Championship, the Brock Racing Enterprise car. So we stole his paint scheme, and then we beat him. So that was kind of a feather in our cap. We actually got to beat John Morton, the man, in the 25-hour.
Wow. Anybody that can claim that on their resume has done wonders. John Morton is the epitome of small sedan racing. Rob Kreider, thanks a lot, partner. NASA 25-hour, one of the great races in the motor racing calendar. If you don't know about it, learn about it. The racers certainly are, and it sounds like it's going to become bigger and better as the years come along. Thanks, guys. We'll be right back. Right after this, we've got B-Spec. Talk about the small car racing and global rallycross. And should young people be back in the stands? Is it going to be spec racing or technology that's going to put them there? The Racing Insiders. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Hope you're enjoying it so far. We're going to this B-Spec series. Only had about 10 cars that were regular last year in Grand Am, and you can't run a series with 10 cars. But what's going on behind the scenes between the series and the sponsors is what the Insiders is going to tell you. Jim, you know a little bit about that. What's going on behind closed doors?
Well, let's face it, it's a failure. The class was a dud. No, nobody showed up. So when that happens, you got nobody to sponsorship hunt with. So you got to go to a manufacturer and say 15,000, 20,000 last year, 55 or 60,000 this year if you want those cars on the track. And unfortunately, with no fans and no driver interest, that's the reality of it, and that's what's occurred.
Peter, you think that the sponsors are going to pony up the money and the cars?
Well, I mean, honestly, I think the success of this class is always going to be, 30, 40, 50 cars. You're definitely right. It doesn't work with 10. And, just on the economic scale, it's not going to work. So, I mean, I honestly believe that, SCCA World Challenge and World Vision's putting all their chips in, and they're going to try and make B-Spec go. But other than that, I mean, that's the only bright spot with B-Spec so far.
Yeah, I think B-Spec, the cars are small and light. It's an entry-level class. I think it's going to be a stretch to get that from entry-level sportsman kind of racing into entry-level professional kind of racing. That's going to be very important. And, Jim, whether or not they're going to put the money up is really an important thing. With nobody watching the car, it's going to be difficult. Let's move on. The Global Rallycross, there is only $1 million they almost lost. $1 million in its first year in 2011, but people are standing in line to become a part of the series. Why do you think that is, Peter?
Well, I mean, they definitely created great buzz, and they got that tie to X Games and stuff like that. And it's cool cars, and there's a lot of good personalities. I mean, I think that they think that they want a piece of the action with the crazy people that they got running Rallycross.
Jim, what do you think is going to keep this from becoming a studio event at some ESPN lot somewhere?
Well, I don't know if it matters if it's a studio event unless you're a connoisseur of racing like we are. I think if you're someone who sells beer and hot dogs at events, you're someone who takes in entry fees,
exactly.
Someone who sells tickets and has to coat the pavements for cars to drive on, that you could care less, and it's going to be successful. Let's not forget what drifting lost in the beginning years, and now they're waxing everybody up from a club level to professional level on spectators. So
they're going to Brazil and Spain, I think, and elsewhere in Europe, but they're going to start in Brazil this year. Of the 9 rounds that they talk about, 3 of them are going to be overseas. Peter, you think that's a waste of money to get other people involved in Europe and not in the United States?
Well, I mean, I think that you definitely, the bigger market you can get going, the better. I mean, that's a lot more expense to travel across the pond. But, I mean, honestly, if you can bring in the fans, then, that brings in sponsorships and maybe that makes it go.
Well,
I mean,
they are going to turn it.
It's a bold
It is
step.
going to become a TV show. Excuse me, Peter. It is going to become a TV show. And there's a lot of interest in rallycross overseas. To ESPN's credit, they are going to, this is some inside information, once you show up with your car in Miami, they're going to ship the cars at ESPN's expense, from what I'm told, to Brazil. And then from Brazil, they'll take them to Europe for the 2 rounds there before they bring them back here to the United States. So there is going to be some cost covered by ESPN, right. And that's going to be a good thing. But you lose your car, and if you don't get a chance to fix it, maybe, I don't know who's going to handle that kind of reality.
That sounds like a logistical nightmare to try and keep the thing prepped for, you know. I mean, I don't think that rallycross is too easy on equipment.
And that's how we make B-Spec successful. All you B-Spec team owners, send those cars to Miami so you can take them to Brazil. That's the only way you're probably going to have a good time this year in B-Spec.
Let's move on real quick here. We want to get some idea of getting young people. We've hinted at that throughout the show here, getting young people back in the grandstands. I had a conversation with Ben Bowlby, who is the engineer for the Nissan Delta Wing, the highest tech thing we've seen in racing here in the United States in a generation. He has an idea that spec racing is going to kill racing. They need to have more technology. Let's listen to what Ben Bowlby has to say.
Well, you know, the youth of today is very tech savvy. I mean, the technology in a smartphone is unbelievable, and they are coping with it. They expect it. They are intolerant of poor technology and poor execution. They expect incredible technology at their fingertips. They are eager to see the next step. So I think it's very likely that the generation that is graduating from high school today expects to see very exciting technology in the car that they will purchase. So for me, this technological level of interest and disbelief and awe and wonder is vital. So don't take the technology out of the racing car. Put it in. Bring it on. You know, at the ultimate level, you know, let's see the technology. Let's see what you can do. As long as you fit within the safety parameters that we've decided as a regulation body, knock yourselves out. Let's bring on the coolest, latest, greatest, because that will have people interested in what's going on. It will be relevant to their road car purchasing experience. It could re-energize motorsport.
All right, guys, we've listened to Ben Bowlby, an engineer extraordinaire, one of the guys who changed technology in racing. Let's not go into the technology of the Delta Wing, but whether you agree with him, whether you think spec racing is damaging racing, or do we need more technology to get young people involved in the sport? What do you think, Jim?
Well, I got to tell you that I'm one of the guys that helped get Spec Me Out of going. It's easy for an engineer that's built one race car to say, hey, we need more race cars like my one race car. The problem is you need excitement for the fans. His soundbite just talked about high schoolers being high tech. You know, half of these, the high school dropout rate here is huge. So I don't know what he means by high schoolers being high tech. What I know is you scan the fans in the grandstands, and the Delta Wing doesn't do it for them. I think spec racing and having a show with more than one car is what we need right now in motorsport.
What do you think, Peter?
I'm going to agree with Jim. I mean, honestly, there seems to be a lot of kids in a NASCAR, you know, sitting there in the stands at a NASCAR race. The only successful sports car race I think that they have that kids are there is the 12 Hours of Sebring, and that's because it's spring break and they're half drunk up and having a good time. I don't even know if most of them know the racing's going on, but it had nothing to do with the Delta Wing.
We're running long on time here, but let's look at one thing. Bowlby worked for Ganassi. He's built NASCAR and open wheel cars, not just the Delta Wing. And the average age of the NASCAR fan gets a year older every year, so they're not getting new people in the seats at all.
But Formula Drift
those young people,
but Formula Drift is getting those fans.
Yeah, they are getting them. So is Supercross.
That's right.
So that's we've got to do something to get young people there. And personally, I don't think spec racing is doing it. It's going to have to be some technology put back into the cars.
Spec Delta
right
Wing.
after this. Right after this. Right after this. See, insiders. We're arguing with each other right here. Hope you're arguing along with us. Right after this. Are you kidding me? We'll be right back. Welcome back. Hope you've had a good time watching this show. You ought to be here with the breaks. We're getting more arguments here with the breaks.
Are you kidding me?
Are you kidding me? Let's look at what's going on here in the world of motorsports. Let's start with Peter. What do you have from the Are You Kidding Me segment this week?
Well, I guess my Are You Kidding Me is the new, SCCA National Racing, the majors. Where did the majors come from? Is it going to work? I mean, the funny thing is everybody didn't understand it the last couple of months, and now essentially my racing schedule for 2013 has completely changed and involves majors. We're only going to run majors. I'm not going to run a regular national race. So are you kidding me? Does it work or does it not? I don't know. We'll see.
Well, a quick question. Will the majors allow you to qualify for the runoffs? That's the big thing in the SCCA.
Well, it actually makes it easier to qualify for the runoffs if you make, if you run majors, because you get, it's 10 more points for each finishing position. So, and they, the points go further 10 more positions back. They go to 20th instead of just 10th. So it's actually easier to qualify through majors.
Jim, are you kidding me? What's going on in your world?
Well, hey, look, Are You Kidding Me starts at my Twitter, JimDaniels_JD. Are you kidding me is these parents who think, no, your kid cannot just be talented behind the wheel. Your kid's got to be talented, and they need to do twice as much off-track time learning how to do proposals. I was watching a segment on Race Hub the other day. Earnhardt's grandchild, Junior's niece, she's killing it. All the money at the front, best equipment in quarter midgets, and she's doing that by knocking doors. So all you parents out there that I deal with in Colby, if you're not willing to knock doors, teach your kid how to work PowerPoint as a 7-year-old and how to knock doors and get corporate assistance to have the money before you approach a team, you're not going to be successful because there's thousands of kids who already are doing that who have the same talent. So that's my biggest pet peeve. And are you kidding me? Yes, you are, if you think it's just talent that wins and gets in these races to win.
I think you'll find out, too, Jim, that are you kidding me? You've got to get, before you knock on a door, you've got to take a social media universe to those sponsors so that they will know what's going on. That's exactly right. My Are You Kidding Me is one of the greatest drivers in world history. He's not appreciated here in North America, but Sebastian Loeb goes into semi-retirement this year with 9 consecutive in a row straight World Rally Championships. That's almost twice as many as Jimmy Johnson's 5 in a row at NASCAR. He got these all over the world, turning left and right in all kinds of roads, from snow to ice, gravel, pavement. Sebastian Loeb, are you kidding me? 9 straight championships. He's going into semi-retirement this year and taking that sports car line probably to the World Touring Car Championship. Wow. What a show this. How'd you guys like it? What did you guys think?
Remarkable.
Racing Insiders?
Exactly. No, it's going to be a great show.
Peter, it's you. People talk about your inside information. You are part of a race team, Spirit of Daytona, in the Grand Am.
Yep, and we're looking forward to the 13th season where hopefully we can build on what we did in 2012 and win us a championship.
Most successful team in wins last year. Jim, you got some background that goes way back. Tell us quickly about what you've done to make you an insider.
Hey, racing forever all over the world. Mazda ladder system, #1 winner, alumni with Mazda. And I've spent my share racing, so I've lived it every day.
And me, I'm just an old hack rider, ink-stained wretch of the Fourth Estate. I've been out there for longer than I care to admit, learning about what's going on in racing. That'll be the story from all 3 of us. Jim Daniels is in Memphis, Tennessee. Peter Keene is in Cocoa Beach, Florida. And I'm in Los Angeles. Yeah, I'm here on the West Coast in the smog and the traffic. That's the Racing Insiders for this week. Join us next week when we'll have even more inside information from the world of motorsports. It's good to have you. Look forward to seeing you next week.